America was founded on the life-changing power of freedom, opportunity, and hope. Have we always gotten it right? Certainly not. But have we made extreme progress along the way? Absolutely. Will we continue to make even more progress into the future? You better believe it. Understanding our history has never been more important. Not rewriting it for 1619 or reframing it as oppressed versus oppressors, but understanding the challenges we've faced and the price we've paid to become a beacon of hope to the world. An uncomfortable truth about our history is that at times, human behavior has collided with our better angels. Our history bears the scars of considering Black Americans as only 3/5 of a human. It took a civil war and the civil rights era to pave the way toward adopting the self-evident truth in our Declaration of Independence that all men are created equal. America may be the only country on earth to fight a civil war to set people free. One passage I admire from President Lincoln's second inaugural address is where he talks about the importance of not only the Civil War and battling it, but winning it for the future of our great nation. He states, "Fondly do we hope, fervently do we pray, that this mighty scourge of war may speedily pass away. Yet, if God wills that it continue until all the wealth piled by the bondmen's 250 years of unrequited toil shall be sunk, and until every drop of blood drawn with the lash shall be paid by another drawn with the sword. As was said 3,000 years ago, so still it must be said. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether, with malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right. Let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds, to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow, and for his orphan, to do all which may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations." His words remain powerful and inspirational even today. When we look at the past, we must acknowledge the significant progress we've made. My grandfather was the closest living relative that I knew who suffered the abuses of a very different America. When he was growing up, 1921 he was born, he wasn't even allowed to use the same sidewalk as a white person. He spent his days picking cotton to help his family get by. But he believed in the goodness of America. Miraculously, he always remained hopeful because he believed then, what some doubt now, that better days were ahead. He only had a third-grade education. He needed to work to help support his family, and frankly, there was not much need for an educated black man in the South. Fast forward 5 decades. After we moved in with my grandparents, he would sit at the kitchen table every single morning, and he would read the newspaper. He would read every single page. He was enamored with what was in that newspaper. And I was stunned. Like, man, I want to grow up and learn to read like that, because he always was reading the newspaper. And I was stunned. It wasn't until almost 15 years later when I learned my grandfather actually never learned to read. But he was impressing upon his 2 grandsons the importance of education. And during my grandfather's lifetime, He was able to go from picking cotton as a kid to watching his grandson pick out a seat in Congress and then the United States Senate. Our story, my story, is the American story. A story of hope and redemption. Tonight, we're here in this majestic setting with the legacy of Ronald Reagan lingering, charting a new course, using a familiar map for the party of Abraham Lincoln. We are the party of freedom, of strength, personal responsibility, and economic empowerment. We are the party of individual liberty, upward mobility, and the party that knows we are a nation of laws, not men. But a nation of laws needs strong women and men to enforce the law in a fair and just way. We have the right ideas, but even so, we find ourselves in a state the Republican Party hasn't carried in 35 years, in a nation divided, in a political environment where pessimism has supplanted optimism and hope. It is easy to be daunted, discouraged, demoralized even. But do not. Our ideas are timeless because the truth is timeless. We must believe that. We must believe that our ideas and beliefs can stand the test of time. We must have courage in our convictions and know conservatism is more than an election strategy. It's more than simply a series of campaign promises. Conservatism is a set of deeply held beliefs that, when properly communicated, when faithfully implemented, when actually lived, can change your life and the life of a country. Conservatism is not easy. Few things worth pursuing in life are easy. Abraham Lincoln and Ronald Reagan both wore the marks of their beliefs and convictions. Both were ridiculed. Both were mocked. Both were shot. And one was killed. And yet their legacies linger as a light guiding us towards that more perfect union. I believe in conservatism because it changed my life. It was education, hard work, and faith that allowed my family to go from cotton to Congress in one lifetime. It was education, hard work, and faith that allowed a grandfather who cannot read or write to ride to the polls and cast a vote for his own grandson. A grandson who would be reading and writing bills and legislation, who would meet with presidents and Supreme Court justices. This is America. This is such a blessing to live in this country. This is the power of what we believe. Conservatism is my personal proof there is no ceiling in life. I can go as high as my character, my education, and my perseverance will take me. I bear witness to that. I testify to that. So for those of you on the left, you can call me a prop. You can call me a token. You can call me the N-word. You can question my blackness. You can even call me Uncle Tim. Just understand, what you call me is no match for the proof of my life. Your words are no match for my evidence. Your pessimism is no match for the truth of my history. I will continue to proclaim boldly this truth from every mountaintop, and then I will do so from the deepest valley. I will do it in the boardroom, but I will also do it in the classroom. I will do it from the auditorium surrounded by friends, and the inner city church surrounded by skeptics. I believe it because I have lived it. I have lived the original dream. I've held the truth, the unalienable truth, that all men and women are indeed created equal and endowed by our Creator with the right to be free. I am not merely a believer in the principles of conservatism. I am an eyewitness. I bear testimony that America can do for you what it has done for me. So if it is a time for choosing, that is what I have chosen. The power, the life-changing power of freedom and hope and opportunity. Will you choose it with me? Will you join me as a messenger of hope, a missionary, that the power of ideas can change our nation again? I will. God bless these United States of America.